This is Trek Procaliber 9.6 mountain bike, and in this episode I will give you my impressions and a review of this bike after I have been riding it for about 200 miles or about 320 kilometers. So, hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Cycling Insider. And as you know, recently I bought this Trek Procaliber 9.6 mountain bike. So I've been riding it for about 2 months now. And these are my first kind of impressions and a review of this bike after about 200 miles or 320 kilometers. So we can start immediately at the front of the bike with the handlebar on this bike. So this handlebar is about 750 millimeters wide, I believe, and I'm still not fully used to the width of this handlebar, so probably at some point I will have to cut it for about 20 millimeters and then see how it properly works. Immediately I can mention here that you see the little bell I'm having. It's a superb addition to any mountain bike when you are out on the trails, because I'm riding different forest trails, gravel trails. There are a bunch of rocks, and then you encounter a lot of walkers and hikers, so having a bell is an absolute must in my opinion. Okay, looking again a bit at the forward of the bike, we can talk about these hydraulic disc brakes from Shimano. Very basic Shimano's MT410 hydraulic disc brakes, working perfectly fine. I have no complaints. The front rotor is 180 millimeters, and then at the back you have 160 millimeters braking rotor. Also, what I have to mention here, these grips at the front, classical Bontrager rubber grips, no problem for now. Nothing is slipping or falling apart, which is always a good sign. Also, I'll mention here the shifter. As you see, this is the Shimano's SLX shifter. Since this bike, comes with a single chainring at the front, you only have one shifter. And this SLX shifter is working absolutely perfect. 12-speed shifter, no complaints about this shifter for now. Also, at the front, let's talk about the fork. So the fork is the RockShox Recon Gold RL fork, and it's working very good. I will just mention here that you have to set the right pressures on this fork, so you have to play a little bit with the pressures on the fork, and you have a little table, as you can see here, depending on your body weight and total equipment you are carrying. So definitely play with it, and once when you set it up, it's a very smooth fork. Also play a little bit with the rebound on the fork. You have about 20-21 clicks from the fastest rabbit position to the turtle position, so depending what you like to ride, I'm usually riding somewhere in the middle, 7-8 clicks on the fork. So the fork, as I was saying, it can soak up very nicely some of the smaller bumps and of course the big ones. And one thing I've noticed here is that it takes a bit of time until this fork really becomes smooth, in the sense that probably in the first 50 kilometers I thought it's a bit of a stiff fork, but then it kind of loosens up, almost like the oil starts flowing, all the bushings and everything works fine. So just keep that in mind, that it takes a bit of time for this fork to start working properly. Okay, since we are at the front of the bike, let's talk about these tires. So Bontrager XR2 team issue tires paired with Covey Comp aluminium rims. I have to mention here that the tires are very supple, very nice grip in the dry weather I'm having with these tires. The only thing is that I already had a little flat tire at the back. Luckily, since the tires are set up tubeless already, the sealant closed the gap immediately, so I could continue riding, but it seems to me that the tires might be a bit on the softer side, so maybe some of the smaller punctures might appear again. So just keep that in mind. All in, I think it's a 120 TPI tire, so it's definitely going to be a supple tire. And as you see now, after 200 miles, 320 kilometers, they are still holding very well, considering all the off-roading I'm doing. The wheels, aluminum wheels, Covey Comp wheels, Bontrager Covey Comp, with the 15mm through axle. I can say they are pretty, stiff and stable, especially because of this, 15mm through axle at the front. So definitely no complaints now for the for these aluminium wheels. I will also mention that probably in the next few months I will have to add a bit of tubeless sealant inside these tubeless tires, just because I'm not so sure when were these tires set up properly tubeless. So every maybe 6 months you should add a bit more sealant into the tire. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about this carbon fiber frame, and especially this kind of ISO-speed decoupler, the carbon fiber frame. Listen, the power transfer on this carbon fiber frame is absolutely superb. This huge bottom bracket, very wide bottom bracket, as you can see here, really helps you with a good power transfer. So if you like climbing like me, this is absolute monster when it comes to climbing and power transfer. This ISO-speed decoupler here, I can't say anything special that I felt so smooth or anything else. It's definitely not going to be smooth as a full suspension mountain bike, but what you can definitely feel is on the smaller bumps, when you're crossing some of the smaller bumps, definitely this ISO-speed thingy works perfectly fine. So a nice addition on this carbon fiber frame. Okay, moving on, considering the pedals, I'm running a classical Shimano's 520 M520 pedals, absolutely superb pedals. I love them so much. They are almost impossible to destroy. You just need to lubricate them a little bit from time to time and they're going to work perfectly fine. The front chainring, I'm running a 34 tooth chainring. This is an SLX chainring, single chainring, as you see, absolutely perfectly fine. And since the bottom bracket is a press fit bottom bracket, no creaking noises. The chain I'm running is a 12-speed Shimano Dior chain. Of course, it's still fresh, only 300 kilometers. I recently measured it with the chain checker. Of course, everything is still fine, no problems with the chain. Also, the rear mech is the Shimano's XT rear mech, working superb, no problems here. I had few occasions when some little branches got stuck into the mech, but funnily enough, no problems. It almost broke all these branches. I just put them out and it works again perfectly fine. This huge cassette, again, Shimano SLX cassette 1051, I believe. Very good spread of the gears. I've been climbing some really steep kind of gradients and mountains, no problem. You have a huge range of gears with this huge Shimano SLX cassette. And as I was mentioning before, the XR2 Team Issue tire at the back already had one flat, but the sealant in the tire luckily closed this, so no problem for now, but I'll definitely have to recheck that sealant in the rear tire. Oh, I forgot to mention this. The saddle I'm using is the Bontrager Verse Comp saddle with this big cutout in the middle, just because I love the saddles with the cutout. This saddle didn't come originally on the bike, so I replaced it. Superb saddle, in my opinion. I really like it, and definitely I'll keep on using it. And of course the aluminum seat post here, nothing special, and definitely in the future it's worth upgrading to a carbon fiber seat post just because of a little bit more soaking up of the road bumps. Oh, and I forgot to mention one more thing with this whole setup. As you see here, one of my friends gave me this chain lubricant. So it is a MSM chain lubricant. As I understand correctly, a mix of wax and a classical, some kind of oils inside, made in Croatia. I don't have any affiliation, or nobody's paying me to say this. So I've been using this MSM chain lube, and it's very impressive, I gotta say. Like, really, the chain is so smooth, stays on the chain very well, doesn't wash out, doesn't collect too much dirt. Very interesting chain lube. So if you want to check, you can always go to the website is msmechanic.hr, and you can have a look at this MSM chain lube. So yeah, as I say, I'm not paid to say this, but it's a very interesting product. Okay, so all in, as you see, I'm pretty satisfied with this hardtail mountain bike, and probably I'm going to give you another update, maybe in another 200-300 miles. The season of mountain bike riding in my area is kind of coming to an end for this season, so let's see how many kilometers can I still do. But all in, a very impressive climbing machine, XC cross country proper racing machine, this Trek Procaliber 9.6. So this is gonna be it for today. I hope you like what I'm doing, and if you do, keep on watching, keep on liking, And as always, I will see you soon in the next episode. Cheers.